Okay, so the thing about this is, I mean, this is for grammar, ACT English, chapter 1, apostrophes. If you look at the apostrophes, meaning of this one is two particular cases we use. One is possessive, and the other one is contraction. So the case of possessive, you only need to memorize 4 different cases. Okay, let me just push a little bit so I can see. So possessive. Weird. Case of possessive. Yeah, the basically you're putting like apostrophe s, right? But then if the case is you have a singular noun with like without s at the end, let's say kid, then you put apostrophe s basically. But then singular noun with s at the end, let's say Thomas. This is a tricky thing. A lot of people getting confused, but still you have to put apostrophe s. Okay, this is important. Some people just think that, you know, oh, like this is wrong. Okay, and number 3, if it is plural, oops, without s at the end, like, you know, children, still just like apostrophe s. But this one is important, 4th one, plural with s at the end. Oops. With s at the end, like, you know, parents. Then you put apostrophe, that's it. This is good. So these 4 cases you need to memorize, okay? That's what the, you know, page 1 and then page 2, those questions, number 1 is B, number 2 is H, right? Because simple, grandparents, like 2 of them, so plural. Julie, pay attention to yours. Yeah, go next page. Page number 2. Okay.
I was looking at the board.
Okay, I'm done with the explanation. Okay. Page number 2, if you go number 1, it has to be B because it's two, both grandparents. That's why apostrophe self. And number 2, one house, right? Singular house, then we're just putting apostrophe s. So it's H, simple. And then now, next page, page 3. This is a contraction case. So contraction means, in this case, they're talking about they are is equal to their. Oops. Okay. Anytime you see that any apostrophe for the contraction, what you do, you spell it out. So you have to read it with like everything. So if you see there are, there were, then you just read it as a they are, and then whether it makes sense or not. And then obviously, as you know, there with the IR, this is possessive of they, okay? And then there with ERS, this is a place. So that's what this page is explaining about. And page 4, if you go, the case of it's. So it's with apostrophe is, you just like spell it out as it is. It's without apostrophe, this is possessive. A lot of times on the test, you see something like, you know, it's with apostrophe at the end. No matter what, this is wrong. There's no such a thing existing, okay? This is not. So as soon as you see this one, just cross it off, and then that's how you can start it off of, okay? And that's why if you go down to the question on the page number 4, so C is the first one we can see eliminate. And then if you think about A or B or D, then we need to have something in front of rooms. So D doesn't make sense. D means like, you know, there as a place, that doesn't make sense. Then we think about between, you know, A and B. But if you put A, it is rooms, R, that doesn't make sense. That's why it's rooms, but it is possessive for, you know, rooms. That's why it works with B. And then move on to next page, page number 5. It introduced the idea of whose with apostrophe S, which is who is. And then who's with SE at the end, this is possessive of who. Then something that you have to be careful about is just a who is fine, but then who's with the SE at the end. This is like only people have to be in front of this who's, right? But then case of who's as a possessive, it can be like you can put people or you can put things as well. So this is important part, things. Let's say one of the example, I have a desk whose legs are 4. It sounds weird with a desk and then whose, but it still makes sense. Okay, that's like one thing that you have to know. And also another thing that you have to know is, as I explained last time, you can just memorize that as a formula. As soon as you see who, whom, whose, this is like 3 cases that you have to think about. Who. After this, who is always subject. Okay. Nate, can you pay attention to this? Let's do it after the class. Okay. So go to like page 5. So who is subject? That means you have to have verb right away. So the question asking you about something related to who, whose, or whom, then you always see that what comes after. So verb comes after, then you have to find who. And the second case, if you see whose, then it has to be noun, because this is possessive of like noun. And number 3, whom, 2 different cases. One is subject and verb you have to find, because the object is basically the whom itself. Okay, then you have to put subject and verb. And second case is you have to have preposition plus whom. Preposition means like for whom, like to whom, like things like that. All those things that you see, then whom becomes object of preposition. Okay, and then move on to next page, page 6. The drill number 1. It's apostrophe S, like doesn't make sense because brilliance is the, the one of the things that you have to make sure that you have to understand for this one is after despite, we cannot put clause. That's why you cannot put it's with apostrophe. It has to be just like it's as a possessive, right? And then number 2 is the first underlined portion, things with apostrophe at the end, doesn't make sense because apostrophe means it makes it as what, like possessive, right? If it is possessive, what happened? You have to have a noun after, but there's no noun after beings. That's why just like take out the apostrophe. And then later part is like creatures whose bodies. Then whose bodies is noun. That means you have to have possessive who, whose, which is with SE at the end without the apostrophe. And number 3 is their attempts. Attempts is noun. That means you have to have possessive, which is THEIR as a possessive there. And then later part, attempts is good. So we just like, leave it as is. And then number 4, the first underline there as a possessive is good because pray is noun, that's fine. So that later part, echoes that identify its location. Then echoes with apostrophe S, then you need to have a noun after because it's possessive. And that doesn't make sense. That's why you have to put, let me write it down.
Like echoes.
Yeah, echoes with a plural.
Yeah.
Echoes like this, right? And then later part, that identify its location. It is location that doesn't make sense. That's why you have to put it's with, without apostrophe. And number 6, pioneer whose first major invention. Then this one, whose first major invention. First major invention is noun phrase. That means you have to have possessive to modify this first major invention. That's why number 6, you have to put whose with SE at the end. And the later part, him many scientists admiration. That, you know, admiration is noun. Then scientist with the apostrophe is okay. So as is fine. And number 7.
Wait.
Uh-huh.
I thought you have the apostrophe when it's. Would it be like? Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a many, so not one scientist. So it's a many, plural.
Scientists, and then if it, okay.
Is it plural? Then you have to put only
So
apostrophe.
if the word ends with S, then you put apostrophe S. But if it's like talking about multiple, then you just don't have to add the other.
Right. So everything else you put, you know, apostrophe S. That's it.
Okay.
But only one, which is like in the case of what is it called, like in a plural apostrophe, then you don't put S at the end. And then number 7, it's traffic jams. Then it is traffic jam doesn't make sense, right? So that's why possessive as IPS you have to put. And then traffic jams, after jams, there's no noun. Then you have to put just without apostrophe, right? And then later on, the walk in the city center. So city center, so cities center. Those 3 you have to change. And number 8, after whose, penchant. Penchant sounds like, you know, adjective. That's why a lot of people think that, you know, as is fine, whose with apostrophe, but this is wrong because penchant is strong inclination. This is a noun. Okay, that's why it has to be like, you know, with whose with SE at the end. And the later part is correct with it's. And number 9, instead of it is, because it is habitat has been, that doesn't make sense because we're going to have 2 subjects, right? That's why number 9, you have to change to ITS. It's the possessive. And then number 10, the year's most important festival. Then the years sounds like in a possessive, right? In this case, it has to modify the other one. So years with apostrophe, and then arrive there with EIR, that means that becomes possessive. That doesn't make sense, right? That's why you have to put in a place as a there, ERE. Okay, no question about this, right? This is pretty simple. Move on to number 8. Number 8, page 8, only gonna go over 3rd paragraph, number 1. Number 1, if you see, as I said many times, we're not choosing the best answer choice out of this 4. We're gonna, like, you know, look at the question, what's wrong with this one? And then we'll switch it, right? So if you look at the given question, encyclopedias, articles. So articles, noun, encyclopedia, noun, then we have to put apostrophe S as a possessive. That's why A is fine. And also after articles, there's no noun. That's why, you know, B is wrong. You cannot put another what is it called, apostrophe, because apostrophe means possessive. Then there's nothing like, you know, you can possess. Okay, move on to next chapter, chapter 10. Chapter 2, I'm sorry, the page 10. Yeah. So these are all simple sentence or fragment. Meaning of sentence means you have to have subject and verb, right? But if you have dependent clause, so let's say something like although subject verb, then what you have to have is you have to have another independent clause. So that's what the, you know, the sentence should be like. But then if you don't have anything like this, you just period here, that's what we call fragments, right? And also sometimes you don't put, you know, subject and verb, proper subject and verb, that's a fragment too. That's why 1, 2 sentence, 3, 4 fragment, 5, 6 sentence, 7, 8, 9 sentence, 10, 11 fragment, and 12, 13 sentence, 14, 15 fragment, 16, 17, 18 sentences. And page 12 is C. Because if you think about given sentence here, the earlier it says jazz fans and scholars now unanimously consider him one of the greatest jazz musicians of the 20th century. And then one clause is done, and then you cannot put another clause there, right? With comma. So you have to put C, so we have to separate this out. So this is really, really important concept right here. Subject, verb, like independent clause, you have another clause if you have like this. This is what we call comma splice. Okay, so which is wrong. How can we prevent comma splice? What can we do is the first case is instead of comma, you put period. So we separate them out so that we don't need to worry about this comma splice. And number two is instead of comma, we put semicolon because semicolon means equal to period. And number three is if you want to keep comma, what do you have to put? You have to put fanboys, which is for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. And number four, if you also want to keep the comma, then you have to put ing on the verb here or like in the beginning, because you want to like change that to phrase instead of a clause. That's why C is the answer. And then D is wrong because after semicolon, you have to have an independent clause again. So many consider has to be, not considering. Or you can put it as just comma, many considering, that's fine. But then case of this one is just like, C. And move on to next page. To make right sentence, one of the most important things that you have to pay attention to is always when you read any given sentence, the first thing you have to do is you have to find subject. And then you have to find verb. And what do you have to do? Subject verb agreement, you have to check. Which means if it is singular, right, then you have to put S at the end on the verb. And then it is plural, no S at the end, right? So those cases are extremely, extremely important because something like, this simple sentence that, after subject, the verb comes right away, then like, you don't need to worry about it. But then a lot of cases, what they do is subject, put comma and long, non-essential clause they put, and then like verb here. And then at the end of this one, they put, plural noun. And this is singular, let's assume. Then it sounds like, this plural noun is what the subject of this verb is, but then that's not true. So this one is the main subject. So whatever you have to think about is you have to put S at the end. If it is present tense, okay? And then another one is, so agreement is number one, you have to check. And number two is always tense. If it is present tense or past tense and whatever tense, because there are particular questions they ask you about this. And then something that I recommend you to do for tense the question is look one sentence before and one sentence after. So you have to compare whether this is like the right sentence or not. And then move on to next page, page 14, pronoun as a subject. Anytime you see pronoun, what did I say? You have to find the reference, okay? If it is not specific enough, then you have to find the reference. And then move on to page 15, group pronouns. The group pronouns are like the plural. That's pretty easy. And then something that, the whatever follows after is pronoun of them or pronoun of which or whom. So you have to memorize this one as a formula as well. Many of, if you have a them and blah, 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 then you have to have period and a new sentence starts from here. But if they say many of whom, then you have to put comma here. And this whom is referring to earlier, like noun this for this one. So you have to make sure that this is like formula. If you see, because you're gonna see this type of question a lot. And then if you see many of whom, many of them, you just like think it as, oh, this is the case that, you know, we have to put period or like comma. Comma means whom. And then period means them. That's it. It can be many of whom, many of which. Either way is fine. And then move on to next page, page 16. Adverbs. Adverbs are like, you know, we just put ly adverbs. So it's not that difficult if you just like read it through, everything makes sense. And then non-essential clauses. Essential clause and non-essential clauses that you're gonna have a lot of questions on those on today's homework. So when you do your homework today, you probably see a lot of like, you know, confusing ones. I kind of like explained last time, I mean, the first class, that whatever grammar packet that I go over with you guys, but then, you know, when you go over this one more time, you probably like, you know, I mean, the chapter 3 and 4, if you go over, it will like, you know, explain more in detail. When you do grammar homework, please read like whatever explanation, okay? Don't just do the questions only. And then, so if it is non-essential clause, let's say, you have subject, comma, comma, non-essential. And then verb. So then this, you have to put 2 commas around. Okay, that's very, very important. And then if it is essential, you don't put comma. So subject, essential, and verb, we don't put comma here. That's like something that we're gonna see from chapter 3 and 4. And then next one, page 17, a positive. A positive is basically, you know, you have noun, comma, noun. You think it is. Oh, this noun is equal to this noun. That's what the meaning of a positive. And then number 18, page 18, participles and gerunds. So this part is also like, you know, like you can think it as formula, which means beginning of sentence, you see gerund or participle, which is ing or something ed format. The verb ing, verb ed format you see, then the first thing you have to do is after comma, the subject you have to find. Okay, that subject you have to put in front of this verb and try to understand what it's like. So for instance, some of the examples that we see, if you go like in the middle, there's like, you know, tons of examples right here. Originating in South America, the tomato, one of the most popular. Then originating, so it sounds weird because tomato originates in South Africa, South America. That doesn't make sense. That's why you have to make it like, if you think about the flow of this sentence, it'll be better that, you know, better put 1/10 earlier, because it came earlier than right now. Then how we can put is having originated would be better, because that gives us idea of, oh, it was originated a long time ago. Okay, just like that, you have to test it out. But then this one too, chapter 3 and 4, as you guys do homework, you can see like these questions too. And then move on to page, conjunction I explained, page 20, I explained all this thing, and page 21 is fine. 22, let's go to page 22. Real. Only one question that I see, only one question that I'm going to go over, which is 4th paragraph, number 1. So if you look at this one, it says that one of them, right? As soon as you see one of them, what did I say? You have to put period, one of them. If it is one of which or one of whom, then you have to put comma, one of which or one of whom. So you can change this one to put in a period, glass period, one of them, but then there's no option of this one. But then comma, then we have to change to which. So that's why it's a B. But then D is another one. D is possible. If you put semicolon, one of them is okay up to that. But then you have to, if that is the case, you have to change to involves, because semicolon means period. Then you have to make it as, you know, the complete clause, independent clause.
So 4 is B.
4-1 is B. Yeah.
B.
Oh, yeah. Do you understand what I mean? Like the sort of like the way how you look at
one of which involves.
one of them is period, one of which is comma.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's why one of them is okay for D, but then involving is wrong.
Period
It has
is
to be
them,
involves.
and then comma is which.
Right. Eric, do you understand what I mean? Involving is wrong because you have to have an independent
it
clause.
doesn't make sense to give it a period. You can't start a sentence. One of them involving, because that's fraction,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay. That's it for the grammar, and then let's move on to the math packet that I sent give you. Chapter 1. This is all review. You guys know all this stuff, but then somehow, I don't know. I saw a lot of question marks from the Eric's homework. Okay, I'll probably like go over all the like question marks there. So number 4 first, page 13. If you go page 13 on chapter 1, number 4. Page 13, question number 4. So 2 to the x power to the y power equals to third power. So division means what? For exponent, subtraction. So 2 to x minus y equals to the third. So we can take this one out, x minus y equals 3. Then x must be equal to, so then x equals y plus 3. Which is A. Eric, do you understand?
Yeah, I do.
One thing that you can do, I always explain that, you know, one way is proper way to do. Another way is plug in, right? So what you can do is, let's say you plug in for, x as 2, right? Then 2 to x, 2 squared over 2 to y power equals to the third power. Then y has to be minus 1. Then you can actually like plug in and see how it works too. You can utilize your calculator if you want. Yeah.
Okay, so can you, how do you find that again?
Pay attention.
I
okay?
was trying to,
So
I got lost.
the division means what? Subtraction
Yeah.
for the exponent. And then we have same base. So I take it out.
I just forgot the exponent rules, that's all.
Yeah, that's why you have to, I mean, when you go home, review the, like whatever explanation in the beginning. It
Yeah.
explains everything, okay? And number 5. Three to the x power equals 10. And then 3x minus 3 is whatever they're asking. So simply put, if you think about this one and this one, what's the difference between this is minus 3? And exponent rule, minus 3 means what division you can put. So meaning of this one is 3x divided by 3 to the third power. And then you plug this one into here. That means 10 over 27. So C. So what happened to you guys for this particular chapter you're not good at? Then I guess when like because of Corona, you do Zoom class and stuff, and a lot of you guys, I believe that you do like math way and just take picture and do it. It does everything for you. So probably like really, really simple for this one, but then you didn't have enough exercise to understand this stuff. So I strongly recommend you to think about that. Okay. And then calculator version, okay? The easier way to do. How you can actually do the calculator is plug in. anything that, you know, so let's say 3 to the x power equals 10, and then we have to get 3 to the x minus 3, then we have to get the x first. But then if you learn how to do log, you're supposed to know log for ACT, but then like later on, I have to explain log. You have to put log both sides. This is 1, by the way. And then we'll bring this down, and x minus x times log 3 equals 1, x has to be 1 over log 3. And you put that into here and run the calculator. That's another way to do. That's another thing you have to learn.
Logs are kind of hard. I don't know.
Logs are simple, like, but then you never learn those concepts yet, so it's gonna be hard in a way. So maybe you go home, watch Khan Academy for log. Yeah, you have to get familiar with that.
Do we need to know cotangent?
Yeah, up to a certain degree, yes.
I don't know how to do like a cosine negative one.
Yeah. I mean, those are like, you know, you go second, and then cosine, if you go second cosine, it says,
I don't know what it is.
so it's like this. Let's say you have cosine x equals 1/2, let's assume. Then how can you get x is cosine inverse 1/2. Then you have to get the x, and then you put in the calculator for this one, then you're gonna get 63. That's what what you have to do. And if it is degree mode. Okay, number 7 on the same page. A, B are positive even integers. Which of the following is greatest? So you can just like, you know, guess and check. So even integers, like let's say A is 2 and B is 4. And then if you do A, minus 2 to the 4th power, which is 4 to the 4th power, because minus is just plus because even number. And then B, minus 2, and then 2B, so it's 8. So 4 to the 8th power. And C, 4 to the 4th, and D, 2 times 2 to the 8th power. So this is like, you know, separate thing. But this is the greatest if you think about, because if you distribute this one is basically 2 to the 8th power times 2 to the 8th power, which is much greater than this one. So that's why it's B. Why they have to put, you know, this one is, you can use a calculator if you want to do, but then when you use a calculator, be careful about, you know, parentheses. You have to put, you know, parentheses right. And then number 10. Anytime you don't know, stop me. I tend to go like sort of like, you know, quickly because I have lots of stuff to cover today. So please always stop me. Number 10, 2 to x plus 3 minus 2 to x equals k to the x power. And what is k is the question. So first of all, we have to find a way to, like, you know, shorten this out. And then something that we can find is plus 3. So what we can do with this one is 2 to x power times 2 cubed minus 2 to x power. And 2 cubed, we can actually, like, you know, put it out, which is 8 to the x power minus 2 to the x power. That is k to the x power. And we factor this 2 out, which is 8 minus 1 to the x power, k to the x power. This one goes away, k is 7.
Can you just plug in, like for x, I literally just plugged in 1.
1, I wouldn't recommend you plug in 1. I'll say 2. Yeah, 1 is kind of tricky to put. So this is a proper way you're supposed to do. But as, you know, Eric mentioned, you can plug 2 for x, then you can get k. So let's plug 2, which is 2 to the 5th power minus 2 squared equals k times 2 squared. So 2 to the 5th power is 32 minus this is 4. That is k times 4. This is 28 equals 4k. K is to be 7. Bingo.
Why don't you want to plug in 1?
Yeah, if you plug in 1, shouldn't it be?
I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's why.
How is it?
Why is it risky?
Because 1 is it is divisible by any number. Like, you know, you can divide everything with the 1. So sometimes it doesn't work. Okay. So the one thing that I can recommend you to do is plug multiple numbers. You can double check because you have a calculator. It doesn't take that long. Okay. And then 11. Like this. So the radical means 1/2. So you take out the outside radical, you put 1/2, and then x, and then another x 1/2. You can put it this way. Because this radical goes this way, okay? This x goes here, and outside radical goes 1/2. Then we distribute this, let me change the color. We distribute this 1/2 to each, right? Or you can just add first, either or is fine. So x to the 1/2 times x to 1/4. And then you have to add this 2. X to the 1/2 plus 4 is 2/4 plus 1/4, 3/4. That's why a is 3/4.
I don't get it.
You don't get it? Okay, let me explain one more time for you, okay? So step by step. So this, then instead of this, I can put x 1/2. Do you understand this part? And then let's add this 2. Like multiplication means addition, right? So then put this one x 3/2, right? And then x 3/2, 1/2, right? Because radical sign means 1/2. And then because parentheses, we have to multiply this each other, and x to the 3/4.
Wait, what is that saying?
This one, multiplication. If it is,
What
yeah,
is the
3 over
number?
2. 1 over 2.
1 over 2, 3 over 2, 1 over 2.
Wait, what is the one before?
This one, 3 over 2. Because you add this 2. 1.
No, but why does that go to? Oh, okay.
Okay,
Just kidding.
that's right. So clear? Okay. So another thing that you can do is you can plug in for x as a 2 and just run it in the calculator. Still work.
Yeah, that's why I resort to that.
Rad 2, rad 2.
Yeah, rad 2. If you do, and then you press the button and you get the number, right? Whatever number, the decimal number you're gonna get, right? And then what you have to do is now you have to put a, so 2 to 1/2 powered, and you get the same answer. Or like you put like, you know, b is the answer, so you put 2 to 3/4 on the calculator. So let's say 1, you have to put rad 2. You put this one, and then you get the answer, right?
1.68.
1.68. And then second one, you plug 2 to 1/2 first as an A. You're not gonna get this one, so it's not. And then B, you put 2 to 3/4, and you're gonna get 1.68. Then, oh, this is bingo. This is the answer.
Is there any way to make my calculator, like if I put rad, wait, if I put like rad 8, can I make it show 2 rad 2 for me?
No,
Yeah, wait.
no, it doesn't do. Maybe math way, not the regular
You know
calculator.
calculators do that? 'Cause
That is too good.
Well, I remember at school we had this.
Yeah, 89, probably. I don't know. I don't know any of those. And also, I don't want to teach you doing those because if you rely on a calculator for those, then later on, you don't know how to do basic stuff. Sure.
Yeah, 'cause like factoring, I just kind of have to plug in everything instead of factoring.
Yeah.
I have a question
Sure.
on the previous question.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so it was like 8 times 2x. I mean, power of x minus 2. Yeah, and then how did that go to 8 minus 1?
Okay. So, like, let's say plug 2, right? Let's put this way, right? 2 for the x. And this one is 2 to the 5th power, which is 32. And this one is 4. That means this is 28. And then this is 4, right? 4k. And then k is 7. That's the simplest way to do, without actually knowing anything about the rules of it.
Plugging in.
Okay, the proper way to do?
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 to x plus 3 is equal to 2 to x times 2 cubed, right? And that means this is 8 times 2 to x power. Having said that, if you look at the whatever given the question, an equation, 2x plus 3 minus 2 to x equals k 2x. So this one is basically this one we're plugging in. So 8 2x minus 2x. Then we can factor this 2 out. So 8 minus 1 and 2x power is k 2x, like this. So this is a factoring. Then just plug in.
Yeah.
I mean, why I have to teach both ways is because, as I said, like last week, after 5th week done, I'm gonna give you like chance that if you want to try SAT, then you have to try SAT. But one downside of SAT is there's one math section that you cannot use calculator, so you have to do it.
Do you have like a practice no calculator?
Oh yeah,
Can I get one?
yeah. Later on, yeah. I mean, once we're done with all this explanation, I mean, I'll give you plenty of stuff. Don't worry about it. In my computer, if I print out everything, then whatever I have, I think it's more than like, you know, the floor to the ceiling. Way more than that.
How much more time do you have on SAT?
I'll be getting much more time. I think.
Yeah, for reading wise, a lot more time. But math wise, it's a lot of time, but then like you don't, I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. It's not like a matter of, you know, time though.
You got time for a second head counts.
Okay. Okay, let's go to question number 12. So 2x plus 2 equals 3 red 2.
Plug in all the answers.
You can plug in one by one, but then you didn't do. You put question mark on the side. You didn't like attempt to like, you know, plug in. What you're supposed to do with this one is you're supposed to put this one in. So which means if it goes in, you have to do square, right? So you have to put 2 squared x plus 2. And then this one also goes in, which means 3 squared 2. Then we take out this radical signs. Then this is 4x plus 8 equals 18. So 4x equals 10. X has to be 2.5. That's how you're supposed to do. But no, you can plug in if you want.
I just divided 2 on both sides and then gave up.
Okay, 13. Yeah. 13 seems really, really complicated, but then it's not really difficult. So just following all the rules and what we know. So multiplication means addition, right? AC plus BC, that is x to the 3rd power, 30. So AC plus BC is 30. But then it says A plus B equals 5. Something that we can relate to this one is CC. So we can factor C out. then this one, you put 5. So C times 5 is 30. C has to be 6.
Then why did it tell you that x is greater than 1?
Because if it is not greater than 1, any number you put, it makes sense. Because a 1 to something is always 1. So it doesn't make sense. So this one, if you don't know what to do, I'll recommend you to plug in for A and B. So let's say A is 2, B is 3. Let's try that way. So then X, A is 2, B is 3, because A plus B is 5, right? So X, A, C plus X times X, B, C, X to 30. So then X to the 5C, because you're adding, right? Then that becomes X to the 30. So 5C equals 30, and C has to be 6.
I had a general question about like this entire section of math. These only seem to like reflect like certain like problems on the math section, because like during the actual math session that I've been taking with all these practice tests, the problems look a lot different. But like so can you get away with like just using your calculator, like plug in like most of these, or do you like want to make sure you know that?
That's why I'm like explaining both ways. So
yeah, but
it's your own choice. You can take risk. So if you like plug in, still works. I mean, as I show everything that, it works, right?
Right.
But then you don't know how well you can plug in. So it has to be, I mean, certain like degree, you need to have like skill to plug in. So if you don't know how to plug in, then you're not going to get it right. So that's why up to a certain degree, then you have to choose. But I'm just explaining both ways.
Like a lot of these questions that I saw, like I did not see them on any of the exercises, or like a lot of them that are like, or any that are like any kind of similar. I just did not see any of them.
So let's say this one, we have 60 questions on the test, right?
Yeah.
On the ACT. Then think about how many topics that we have all throughout the math is probably more than 20, 30 different topics that we have to study. That means statistically saying, at the most, you're gonna get like 3, 4 questions on each topic. That's it. So whatever we're doing this one, you might see only 1 or 2 questions on on the test. So you might get like a really, really easy question you don't need to worry about, or you might get really, really hard one. But then each topic that we have to go over, that's gonna be the same thing. So that I cannot just like, oh, this is not gonna be like on the test, don't worry about it. I have to go over everything. So if you wanna get really good score, then make sure that you have to be a perfectionist. Okay, let's go to number 14.
I didn't get this one.
So n cubed equals x, n to the 4th is 20x. And then what is x? So if you think about this one and then this one, n to the 4th means n times n cubed. That is 20x. And as we know, this one is x, then you plug into this one, then basically we can simply think that, n is 20, right? Because this 2 goes away, right? Because n to the 3rd, n cubed is x. So if you put n cubed is x, then this one goes away. So the x and n has to be 20. And if it is n is 20, then you have to plug back in. X has to be 20 to 3rd power, which is 400 times 20, which is 8,000. Okay, it's not that difficult if you think about one by one. So always you have given like 2 equations. You have to see which one goes with which one, okay? And then 15, x to the 8th, y to the 7th, 3, 3, 3. X to the 7th, y to the 6th is 3. What is the value of x, y? So x, y is the value you're looking for. Then this is 8 and 7. This one is 7 and 6. So we have to utilize this one somehow to get the whatever here. So if you think about this one, this is x times x 7, and then y times y 6, right? Then we can group together as xy times x 7th y 6th. So x7, y6 is 3, so put 3 here. So 3 times xy equals 3, 3, 3. Xy has to be 1, 1, 1.
Wait, that's the same thing.
Can I just divide? Yes. Yeah, that's another simpler way to do. Okay. Just like, you know, she's saying x to the 8th, y to the 7th is 3, 3, 3. Divided by x to the 7th, y to the 6th, 3. So it goes away, yeah, 1, 1, like this. That's what she's saying.
What?
If you can see the like relationship between these two, and then you can find the x, y is the way that you can get through the division, then that's still fine.
So 8 minus 7, 1. 7 minus 6, 1.
Yeah.
X, Y, X, Y, 1.
Oh, okay, let's do the quickly chapter 2, and then we're gonna break. Chapter 2, question number 1 on the page 21.
Binders.
Yeah, I'll give you binders. Okay, don't worry about it. So number 1, x is 50% larger than z. That means x has to be 50% larger than z. Z times 1.5. Because 1 is by itself and 50% more, right?
So I did Z plus 0.5.
I just subtract.
And the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you think about z plus 0.5 z means 1.5 z.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. But if you just think it as if it is larger, you put 1 point something. Less than 1 minus something that, you know, let's say 50% less, then you have to say 0.5, and 50 more, 1.5. And then y is 1.2 z. And then x and y relationship now. So then something that we can associate with is z's here. So which is z equals x over 1.5, and then this one, and then you can plug this one into here. So then y equals 1.2 times x over 1.5. So then, but then like whatever the question is asking you is x is, so you have to change to x equals, right? So then we move this one to the other side, flip it over. And it becomes 125y, so 25%. So this is one way you can do, okay, the proper way you can do. And another way that you can do is always you can plug in, okay? So x is larger than, 50% larger than z. Let's say z is 100, let's assume. And then x is 150. And then y becomes 120 then, right? Then it's really simple. Then what percent x is, so 150 is what percent larger than y? So k times y, and then k, like y is 120, then k becomes 150 divided by 120, which is 1.25, so 25%. That's a much easier way to do.
Wait.
What, you got puzzled? Which one? Plug
Did you
in?
just do 1.5 over 1.2?
No, that's exactly what I did here. 1.5 over 1.2.
Yeah, I did 1.5 minus 1.2.
Me
That's
too.
right.
Okay. Well, now
Julie, you can just think this way. Okay. Put z as 100. And then since it is 50% more, x is 150, right? And then y is 20% more, y is 120. And they're looking for relationship between these two. So x is what percent of y? So then we can plug x as 150 and y as 120. Then you can get this one. And then k is 150 divided by 120 and 1.25 and 25% more. Got it? Okay. And then move on to number 2. Veronica has a bank account earn n% interest compounded annually. So compounding interest is A equals P 1 plus R over N divided times MT. This is formula that you guys need to memorize. Okay.
Oh, we had a question like on the test they gave us.
Yeah, I know. That's the formula that, you know, if you have like easy question, they give you like the formula. If it is a hard question, they're not going to give you. And then she opened the account with $200, express this one. So it's given in a way. And they represent the amount of account in the account after T years, which are the following given X in terms of M. So right now, X in terms of M is the one. So then like this is the format that we have to see. You don't need to worry about this N because this is annually compound. Annually means N is 1. So you don't need to worry about this 2. Then 200 is principal right now. It's supposed to be 1 plus M. That's what the interest rate has to be, right? Because also it says percent, which means divide by 100. So that's why the question that, you know, whatever given format is this entire thing has to be equal to X. That's why X has to be 1 plus 0.01 M, which is A. If you know the formula, it's easy. If not, then I don't think you can do it. And let's go to number 6. Number 6, 7, 8. Number 6, matrices accounted for approximately what percent of all units sold during week 1. So we have to think about week 1. Total is 85, right? And matrices 47. So basically 47 out of 80, what is it? 85. This is what they're asking. So which is 55.3. So D. Number 7, next page. What was approximate percent decrease in number of matrices sold from week 3 to 4? So week 3 was 68 to week 4, 43. So this is base, right? So how many it got decreased is 43 minus 68, which is minus 25, right? So minus 25 over base is 68. That's how you're supposed to think. Then it's going to be 37% A. And number 8, discount price of a book is 20% less than retail price. So discount is 20% less. That means 1 minus 20%. So it's a 0.8 retail price. You can think it as. James managed to purchase the book 30% off the discount price at special book sale. So James got 30% off, which is 0.7 discount. What percent retail did James pay? So then you plug this one into here. So it's like 0.7 times 0.8 R. So 0.56 R.
Yeah, I plugged in for that as well.
Yeah.
I was like, it's like 10 and then I went 8.
Yeah. Something like that you can do. Plug in. Always plug in is one thing that I recommend always you do. Okay. And number 10. Joanne bought $1 for 10% discount off original price of this doll. This much. Okay. So original price, number 10. Original price and discount. Original price is 10% discount off the original price is $2 and 10% discount. However, she had paid tax to Joanne, supposed to pay 0.9 times 10582. But then she had paid sales tax X percent and then times X percent, which means 1 plus X over 100. That's what X percent sales tax. The total amount of she paid for doll was $100. So that has to be equal to 100. Okay, then what will be X is the question. So if you work it out, and you probably get the B as an answer. But this way, you don't understand how to do, then you can just like simply think it as plug in for like whatever tax rate, 5%, and then you can just like do those things. So you do this one first, and then you plug whatever percent as a tax rate, and then you do the work, and that'll be the simplest way to do it. And let's go to question number 17. That's the last one that we're going to do for math. And then we'll move on to other stuff. 17, Daniel has $1,000 in the checking account and $3,000 savings account. The checking account earns in 1% interest compound, right? And then 6%, saving account 6% interest compound annually. So 1,000 on the checking account, which means 1 plus how many percent was 1%? 0.1%, right? And then after 5 years, plus 3,000, 1 plus 6%. Well, this is 0 in 5 years. That's how much it's going to be, right? What it's supposed to be. Then whatever the question is asking you is that how much more interest Daniel will earn from the savings account. So this is savings account, and this is checking, and this is savings. Then we subtract, but then this is including the principal itself too. Then we shouldn't include the principal because they're only asking you about the interest, right? So this one minus this one is what it is. But then they made it like a little bit more complicated. But then excluding the principal is C. Do you see that? Interest plus principal minus principal and minus checking. Okay, that's it for the math. And then you guys, let's have a break a little bit.
That's what I said.